Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. Tune in for a vibrant mix of fashion, finance, and life's essential foundations. Join us for expert interviews, insightful discussions, and empowering insights to elevate your lifestyle. From fashion trends to financial tips and personal growth strategies, we've got you covered. So grab your headphones and get ready to be inspired. Tune in now to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show and
Hello,
embark on
everyone.
this
Welcome to the
exciting
Fabulous
journey with
Lifestyle
us.
Radio Show. I am your host, M. Teresa Lawrence, here on KCAA Broadcasting Network, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM, where we cover over 5 million households in the greater Los Angeles. And we are also affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, NBC Sports as well. You can listen to us every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific time on any of your favorite podcast and streaming channels. We are also in Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Android app. Just subscribe to Building Solid Foundations channel. Today on our podcast, we have the fabulous Jeanette McDermott. Jeanette McDermott is an award-winning photojournalist, author, and spiritual storyteller, featured in the 2025 St. Louis Publishers Association anthology. She is a Navy-trained journalist, a former foreign correspondent. She has reported on Ireland's troubles, rainforest destruction in Central America, and the ministries of Catholic sisters worldwide. Today, she champions cruelty-free living, hydration health, sparked by witnessing a man nearly die of dehydration in the jungle, and radiant well-being for women in midlife. This winter, she will document sisters' outreach in the Philippines. And with that, welcome.
Thank you. I love being surrounded by radiant women, so I am thrilled to be on your show.
You have done so many wild things. What is, I mean, let's go back to your story. How did this whole thing begin? I think it's so cool that you were in the Navy and you did all of those things.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us your backstory. How did you get from where you were to where you are now?
Yeah, it's quite the journey. It really is, because I knew when I was 8 years old that I was going to be a foreign news correspondent and a photojournalist. I just knew that. And when I was a little
You were
girl,
8.
8 years old, that's when it was really solidified in my mind that that was what I was going to manifest for myself in life. And when I was a little girl, I used to, with my dolls, I would write stories for newspapers and magazines, and I would do layouts. I would create newspapers, and my dolls were my subscribers and my readers and my editors, and I was the editor in chief, and it was a lot of fun.
I have to interrupt. How did those, I mean, who was your inspiration for this, or did it just come to you that you were going to do it?
No, you know what the inspiration was? Now, I was born in 1954. Television was new, and we had a television in the house, in black and white. And Dad was very, very specific about what we watched. And we grew up on the news with Walter Cronkite, Chet Huntley, David Brinkley, the original, real McCoy journalist before it became what it is today.
So it was an exciting time to watch the news.
Oh, yes, because it was storytelling. It was everything going on in the world with news. And so as a child, I didn't really see it as news or current events. I saw it as stories. And oh my gosh, how exciting to be in these different places telling these amazing stories. So that was just kind of planted in my brain at a very, very young age. And by the time I was 8, I knew rock solid that I was going to be a journalist and a foreign news correspondent. So when the time came, I grew up with all boys. I have 4 whole brothers and 3 half brothers. We're a total of like 7 brothers. And it was the kind of household where the boys, got the attention and the girl was just kind of pushed aside. And so college wasn't an opportunity for me. For the boys it was, but not for me. And so I knew to be a
Interesting.
journalist,
What do
I
you
had
mean
to
it wasn't
seek
a
another
choice?
avenue. Hmm?
Okay, what do you mean it wasn't a choice for you?
It wasn't an option for me, because if anybody in my family was going to go to college, it would have been one of the boys. Dad would have spent money on the boys, not the girl. So it was just the household I grew up in. Yeah, Dad was a Victorian, born 1901, so had very Victorian standards. And yeah, so I knew for me to fulfill my dream, I had to pursue it on my own. And that's
You
when I
did. This
decided
is
to go
so
in the
exciting.
military and become a journalist.
And how did your father feel about you joining the military?
Well, it's a sad story, Teresa. It's a really sad story. He disowned me. He told me if I joined the Navy that he would disown me, because he said only lesbians and whores go in the military, and no daughter of his was going to go in the military. And I defied him. And like I say, he was a very
I'm
Victorian.
like right now, I'm so proud of you. You chose you. Good
Yeah.
for you.
It's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Wow, that is so
So,
well, that's so
and
inspirational.
I had my mother's support, thank goodness, and she defied my dad. I defied my dad. And yeah, so it was contentious. It was contentious. So when I would come home on leave, I'd walk in the front door, dad would walk out the back door, and we never saw each other because he disowned me for defying him. And sadly, he died and we never did reconcile that. He just didn't want to reconcile that. So that part of it is sad, but I ended up spending 23 years in the military. I retired with a pension because I loved it so much. I loved the military and the travel and the stories and just the opportunities it provides. Yeah. One of my favorite stories, I mean, since you kind of like this Navy story, I was a journalist and I was stationed in Puerto Rico and we had a NATO exercise, the Atlantic Treaty Organization, with all the ships from all the NATO alliances in the middle of the Atlantic. And so I was sent to tell the story of this, and I had to be helicoptered onto a ship in order to tell the story. So I'm waiting for my helicopter driver to arrive, a pilot, and you'll never guess who it was that came to lift me onto the ship, the HMS Her Majesty's ship Hermes in like 1973 or 4, I think it was. Prince Charles, he was my pilot.
Oh, that is so cool.
And he was a captain in the Navy at the time. So he was just a regular kind of guy. But yeah, he was serving his. So that was
That
just
is really, really fascinating and
isn't that
fun.
fun? Yeah, that's just a really fun story.
Okay, I want everybody listening to know that, I feel so honored to have her here because she chose herself and she ended up doing something that she wanted to do. And that's the point of everything that I do, that people should choose themselves and enjoy their life. And it's very obvious that Jeanette has enjoyed her life. So what happened next?
Oh my goodness. Well, I eventually got out of the military, because that's a whole long story, a lot
But
of
no,
different
but wait, you
assignments.
were a photojournalist for
Mhm.
the military.
Yes, here's how that played out. I enlisted in the Navy and got trained. They sent me to schools to get trained in broadcast journalism, radio and television, magazine, newspaper writing. So I got magazine design, layout, and graphics. And then after 13 years in the Navy, I wanted more progression. Rank at that time for women was slow in the Navy, but it was rapid in the Army. So I got out of the Navy and went into the Army and switched branches and then became an officer through officer candidate school. So I went through OCS, got my commission, and then became a public affairs officer in the Army. So, and then just continued on that path of communications and being the spokesperson for things that unfolded. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say about that other than I went to a lot of places and told a lot of stories that were very
And
exciting.
I'm curious as to which of your stories was your favorite one during that part of your life.
Some of it was tragic. I went in during Vietnam, Vietnam War, and I think for me, the most significant, the benchmark for me, I cut my teeth in photojournalism when the POWs came home after the fall of Saigon in 1975. And so they came to, was it 75, 74? Well, anyway, when the POWs were all released, and I was stationed at Naval Air Station Miramar, San Diego. And when they arrived on the tarmac, I was a photojournalist for the Navy at the time, taking those photos and telling the stories of those POWs that had been tortured in Hanoi Hilton and just their whole lives. And that is the most remarkable thing that stands out in my mind in my career as a benchmark
Mhm.
story. And then another one was when I traveled to Ireland. This was not in the military, this was out of the service, but I went to Ireland for a year to tell the stories during the Troubles when the Catholics and Protestants were at war with each other, the border, you know, with the
And
whole,
about what year was that? Do you remember?
that was 83 and 84.
Mhm.
1983 and 84.
And
Yeah,
did you get to interview both sides?
I did. I did. I ended up going to IRA weddings, INLA funerals, prison releases from political prisoners, rallies, all kinds of, yeah, I was very involved in the movement actually as a journalist. documenting all of that. And then I also told fun stories like the thatched roofs in Ireland and the homemade tools and the sheep on grazing on the farms and the rock walls that are built all over, the Aran Islands and getting to the Aran Islands on a little seaweed boat. Yeah, just so I had a lot of stories. I think
Okay.
those are the two that I love the most is Ireland and the POWs coming
Well,
home.
we're going to go back to the power of storytelling when we come back because it's time for a break. But these are just amazing and fascinating stories. So we'll be right back after a break. Thank you.
Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Connect, and Building Solid Foundation.